guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm actually filming for you guys a requested video from somebody who saw me make a TikTok about something and asked for me to elaborate some more. And as always, I'm super happy to film any requested videos you guys have, nursing, non-related, whatever. But this video was requested from me to talk about my essential tremor. So you're probably like, girl, what's an essential tremor? And that's what I thought too when I first heard it. I've heard of a tremor before because I'm a nurse, but I have never heard of an essential tremor specifically until I started going through all of this. So an essential tremor is by definition a tremor that is without known cause. So nothing on an MRI and nothing in your blood, nothing can explain why you shake or have a tremor. A tremor is a shaking, and usually essential tremor is in your hands, or at least that's where it starts. So it's usually more common for it to be more obvious in your dominant hand, and that for me is very true. I'm right-handed, this is my right hand. You probably can't even see my left hand shaking, and that's because I'm medicated for my tremors. If I was not medicated, you would very much see both of my hands doing what my right hand is doing right now. Essential tremors are usually intentional tremors. That meaning when you go to do something with your hands, that's when your tremors are the most visible. So for me, if my hand is at rest here, you can't see it shaking. But if I go to point to you, you can see my hand shaking. That is an intentional tremor, and it's very common in essential tremor. Essential tremor is like a big umbrella diagnosis for any sort of tremor. So it could be like your voice. Some people have tremors in their head, which I have actually experienced. Some people have tremors in their legs. It honestly just depends on the person in how it manifests. So kind of a big, vague mystery, to be really honest. At least that's what I've discovered with it so far. But I think a good place to explain to you my experience with it is to tell you how all of this started for me, because I'm an unusual essential tremor patient in that this has not been my whole life. Normally, people with essential tremor will tell you that they can remember in middle school or high school, all throughout their life, feeling their hands shaking and have it get worse over time. That is not the case for me. I've never experienced this in my life until last September. I can remember the exact week. It was the week of my first wedding anniversary with my husband, which is September 8th. And I remember that Sunday, the Sunday of that week, we went out for lunch, a celebratory lunch for our anniversary. And I remember feeling really strange, but I thought like, maybe I'm just really tired. It was kind of like a lightheaded feeling. It was really weird, something I couldn't quite put my finger on, but that happens to you every once in a while, you know? So I just thought like, whatever, I'm probably just really tired. So I just kind of brushed it off, went about my day as normal, no big deal. That Monday, I woke up and I thought, whoa, I feel so weird. I can't even describe it. The thing at the time that I could relate it the most to was vertigo. But I've had vertigo before, and this didn't quite feel like vertigo. Vertigo feels very much like either you're spinning or the world is spinning. This didn't quite feel like that. It, to this day, as I've described it, felt like my head was vibrating, which is such a weird experience. I can't even like explain that to anybody, but it literally felt like my head was vibrating. It was so freaking weird. So I'm thinking it's vertigo though. I'm like, maybe I just have like a really freaking weird case of vertigo. Okay, fine. So that Monday I'm like doing all of the vertigo exercises and like nothing's really helping, but like vertigo can take days or weeks to go away. So I thought like, oh great, I'm gonna be like stuck with this for a while, like fine. So I just am like chilling, trying to get it to go away. That Tuesday, I still feel the same way, except for that Tuesday, I start to notice that my hands are shaking and I think like, what the heck is that? That's the first time I've ever seen the hand tremors. So I thought, well, that's really weird. I don't know what that is. My hands have never done that before. So I kind of go throughout my day and I still feel so strange. Like the vibrating in my head is getting worse. It's so uncomfortable. And I just like don't know what to do. So my husband finally looks at me and he goes, Nicole, we have to go to the doctor. Like, you know that you have to go to the doctor if you're having hand tremors. That's not normal. And I was like, I know. Nurses are the worst patients on the planet. We freaking hate to go to the doctor. I hate going to the doctor because I like to take care of other people. I don't like other people to have to take care of me. So anyways, I had to be talked into going to the doctor, which is not unusual for me. But that Tuesday, my husband talked me into making a doctor appointment for that Wednesday. That Wednesday, I was actually supposed to work, but I wound up having to call out sick because I literally could not function. So instead of going to work that Wednesday, I went to the doctor. I go in and see this nurse practitioner who I've never seen before because I switched insurances. This is the first time I've been to the doctor on the new insurance at a new facility. And I loved her. She was incredible. Her name's Monica, and I freaking loved her. She was awesome. So she sits me down and I explained to her my symptoms, that I felt like my head was vibrating, which I feel like makes me sound like a crazy person, but she was so understanding and so like perceptive, which was, I really appreciated because I felt stupid for being there. Until I put my hands out and I told her that I was having hand tremors, and she goes, whoa, wait, you're having hand tremors? She's like, have you had those before? And I said, no. And she said, okay, that's weird. So then she proceeds to do a full neurological exam. It's the most beautiful neurological exam I have ever seen. She was unbelievable. She was incredible. And she does all the vertigo testing, and she's like, I don't really think you have vertigo. Like, I really don't think that that's what's happening here. And your hand tremors starting all of a sudden really concern me. So I want to get an MRI of your brain. That freaked me out. I was like, you want an MRI of my brain? I didn't realize we were going that far. Okay. So I had a little mini panic attack about it, but it was okay. I got the MRI. Well, long story short, I got the MRI because y'all, it took me, I had to move mountains to get an MRI of my brain, which I never thought I would have to do. It was crazy. I called to try to get an MRI thinking like, oh, it's gonna be so easy. That's because the nurse in me just like walks patients downstairs to get an MRI. No, outpatient, very different story. You have to go make an appointment at an outside facility, which is hard because most of them are incredibly impacted, which unfortunately all of the ones in my area were. So every single facility told me that it would be a 2-month wait list. That would mean I wouldn't get an MRI until Christmas. And I thought, like, I cannot wait that long. Like, I can't deal with this for that long and have that much anxiety over this for 2 months. So fortunately for me, my stepdad happens to work in a hospital, and so he was able to get me into an MRI much sooner. So by that Friday of that week, I had an appointment with a neurologist at the hospital that my stepdad works at. And she was, I know and I hope that she had good intentions, but I have never felt more stupid being in a doctor's office. And that's not how anybody should feel when they go to the doctor, especially if they're feeling scared. That was not okay. So I see this neurologist, and the first thing she says when she walks in the room, because my stepdad and my mom are sitting in the room with me because I couldn't drive myself to the appointment because I was like, I felt so disoriented. I was like, I'm not safe to drive a car. So I'm sitting in the room with my mom and my stepdad, and she walks in the room and she looks at me and she looks at them and she goes, I'm sorry, you're the patient? And I like have never felt more small in my life. Like, oh, I have no reason to be here. Like, she thinks I'm fine. She hasn't even looked at me yet. She hasn't even talked to me yet. And she's confused that I'm the patient. That is not how you treat a patient. I don't care who you are. That's not how you treat a patient. Either way, I'm over that. Anyways. So she does an exam and she's like, well, I guess since you're here, like, I guess we'll go ahead with the MRI. Okay. So that was on Friday of that week that she ordered the MRI. While I was in the office, she also ordered me a medication called Ativan, which was a lifesaver in that moment because it allowed me to function finally. A very, very, very small dose of Ativan, which if you don't know what Ativan is, it's a medication that calms your nervous system. It's usually something that we use when somebody's having a seizure. And I can't tell you the difference I felt once I took a teeny tiny dose of it. It was life-changing. My head stopped feeling like it was vibrating. My hands stopped shaking so much, and I felt like I could function again. It was incredible, and I felt like, okay, weird, but I'll take it. Small success. So that next Wednesday, which fortunately I had all this time off of work because I had clustered all of my shifts together. That next Wednesday, I go in for an MRI, which if you've never had an MRI of your brain, it's terrifying. I mean, MRIs in general are scary. I take patients to them all the time. Well, I take kids to them, and usually we sedate kids for them. We put them to sleep, so that way they're not so scared. But adults, obviously, you gotta like buck up and be a real adult and just chill out in the tiny tube that they put you in. But I've had an MRI of my knee before because I've torn my ACL in my past, and so that was a lot less scary because your head didn't go in the machine. I'll tell you what, y'all, it's a lot scarier when your head goes into the machine. They put these like plastic things next to your head with a whole bunch of like foam wedges, and you literally can't move, and then they put you in this tiny little tube, which explains why they ask you before the appointment if you have claustrophobia problems, because if you do, you would have a panic attack in that thing. It's terrifying. Luckily, I just used a whole bunch of breathing exercises while I was in there because it's 20 minutes, but it's like 20 minutes that's really, really, really long when you're nervous. So I go through this 20-minute MRI, and I was so glad when it was over. And within about 24 hours, I would say, from getting the MRI, I got like a notification on like my, like, you know, doctors have like the My Home Health whatever thing. You can log on, they can like send you messages and stuff. So I like log on to that, and the results are up for my MRI, and it says that my MRI was normal for a 28-year-old female. And I was like, hallelujah. Y'all, I could have cried in that moment. I was like so excited when I knew that it was normal, but then the rest of me was like, okay, but like, why is this happening to me then? Which is honestly still a feeling I have today. And so my nurse practitioner referred me to a neurologist within that medical system. This is all super complicated. I love how medicine works. And I make an appointment, and it's for the next week, which he was wonderful. He's still my neurologist. He's really, really great. And he really listened to me when I explained my whole, you know, symptom start, like how did all this happen for me? He did a full neurological exam. We looked at my MRI. He agreed that my MRI was normal, which again was super reassuring to have a second neurologist look at it and say, you're good. But then came the point of us sitting there going, okay, well, like, but why? Like, why do you have these tremors all of a sudden? Because I'm really unusual for essential tremors, because normally people can like tell you, oh my God, my whole life I've had essential tremor. Like everybody in my family has it. It's usually genetic. And they can tell you that they've had it since they were a young kid, and it's just gotten worse as they became an adult, which finally led them to a neurologist. That is not my case. I can literally define the week that it started. He said, that's so weird. He said, nobody with essential tremor comes into my office and tells me that they can define the week when it started. He said, so I have a really hard time still kind of diagnosing you with that, even though I have nothing else to say. So the first thing he did was he actually referred me to a movement disorder clinic at Stanford, which I live in the Bay Area, and Stanford's like our closest, biggest like research hospital. So he made me a referral to a movement disorder clinic there in case something I'm going through is like rare or weird, or there's something more that they can do for me. So he made me the referral. And secondly, it was for us to talk about whether or not I wanted to be medicated for my tremors. It's optional, of course. You can just live your life and deal with having hand tremors, of course. But as you guys know, I'm a pediatric ICU nurse, and I really need my hands to do like fine motor things. Like I need to be able to put in IVs. I need to be able to give injections. I need to prime medications. I need to draw up medications with sharp needles. I do a lot of things with my hands that I really need them to be like tip-top shape, full functional for. So I said, I definitely need something to help me with this because I don't know how I'm gonna do my job with the way my hands are right now. And he said, I would agree. So we talked about the medication options, which the first line medication option is beta blockers usually, which beta blockers are normally used for people with like something like high blood pressure. They can also be used, interestingly enough, for tremors, which is, I think, super interesting. So he would have prescribed a beta blocker to me because it's the safest, easiest option. However, my blood pressure is like normal to low. So he said, if I give you a beta blocker, he's just gonna make my blood pressure low, and then I'm gonna feel dizzy, which is not gonna make me feel good. So the second line option is a medication called Primidone, which is actually an anti-seizure medication, which is the medication that I'm on right now. So I leave the neurologist's office that day with a prescription for Primidone and the referral to Stanford. So I have to wait for Stanford to call me, which is, you know, that's just how they roll. Stanford gets to lead the way. And so I go to pick up my prescription, I get the Primidone, I bring it home as directed. He tells me to take it at night. I'm taking like a quarter of the tiniest pill you've ever seen in your entire life. Y'all, this ish must be really strong because I had to ramp up so slow. I don't take any other medications for reference. And he said that it would make me tired and that I should take it at night. before I go to bed. And when I tell you guys that it made me so tired, oh my God, it literally felt like every morning when I woke up, like I got hit by a Mack truck. It was awful. Like I literally would wake up feeling like I had never slept. And then I would spend my whole day feeling like I had this weird, like cloudy brain, like cotton candy brain type feeling. Like I don't even know how to describe it. Like it just felt like I couldn't think and I couldn't do anything and I was really tired. I was warned of all of this by my neurologist. He said that it would make me feel like that and it would get better as my body got used to it. And I said, okay. So it took me about 3 weeks actually of being on a quarter of the pill in order to be able to ramp up again, because despite the fact that it made me feel like garbage, my tremors were still very much apparent. So within about 3 weeks, I can definitely tell that it's kicking in because I feel like my tremors are like a little bit better, but like they're still really frustrating and hard to deal with. So he ups my medication again, and I'm actually now on a full pill, so it's taken some time for us to get here. But each time that we ramped up after the first time, it became a lot easier. I became a lot less tired, and I started to notice that my tremors were so much better. Like this is like the best that they have ever. This is the best you will see my hands look. I know my hand is still shaking, but like y'all, you should see me not on medication. It's not pretty. So I go to work. I live my life on this medication. Yada yada. By December. Kid you not, y'all, it takes that long for Stanford to call you for a referral. But by December, Stanford calls me. So I get a call from Stanford Neurology in December, and they get on the phone with me and they say, hey girl, so we want to call to make an appointment with you, but unfortunately our wait list is 6 months long. 6 months, you guys. And you will have to make an appointment starting in May of 2020. It's December of 2019 when I have this phone call. And I go, okay, because like what other option do I have? So I made an appointment for May 19th, 2020, which currently it is April like 11th, 2020, and we're currently in quarantine. I swear to God, you guys, if they cancel my neurology appointment at Stanford because of this quarantine, I'm gonna be very sad because I've waited a really long time for this. So at this point, what we're saying is we still don't really know why I have essential tremors or where they came from. The great news is my blood work is normal, my brain is normal, and I'm on medication now that makes me feel a lot better. I did have an experience a few weeks ago where I got the flu, unfortunately in really bad corona times. It was a bad time to get the flu, Nicole, but I got the flu and I was taking codeine cough syrup, and y'all, I was so freaking out of it that I forgot to take my medication for a few days because I was just like hacking up a lung. So for the first time since November of last year, I was able to see what my tremors look like not on medication. And it was a little scary, I won't lie, because they are much worse than they were. My head shakes really bad. I took some like video clips of it so I could hopefully show the neurologist at Stanford what it looks like. The unfortunate part is it doesn't look as bad as it feels. Like it really feels freaking weird. And my hands were really bad. So got back on the medication and now I'm just living my life, you know? Every day is a new day with them. I have good hand days and I have bad hand days. And some things make it better and some things make it worse. So I guess that kind of brings us to the real topic that was asked of me to talk about, which is how I deal with having essential tremors in my life. So I guess we can talk about my personal life first, which is like a little less exciting. Obviously it's frustrating as all hell to have your hands shaking all the time. It's very frustrating. I don't wear eyeliner that often anymore because it's just annoying and I can't make it look right, and I just stab myself in the eyeball, so I don't do it. And mascara is hard, but like I finally have like just figured out if I take my time, I can make it happen. Also, I drop everything. Like I drop everything, you guys. Like I was clumsy before, but now it's really bad. Like as you can imagine, when I hold things, it looks like this, which is not good considering that makes it very hard to have good grip on things. So I drop everything, which is really frustrating for me because I just get really annoyed with myself because I'm like, well, why can't I hold on to things better? How do I deal with it in my personal life? Well, I obviously am medicated, that is helpful. And secondly, I just really try to give myself enough time to do things. I cannot do mascara very quickly. So when I get up for work in the morning, I get up with enough time to allow myself time to do it so that I'm not frustrated and or poking myself in the eyeball. I try to eliminate stress in my personal life as much as possible. Stress is something that makes these tremors a lot worse for me, so I really try to eliminate as much stress as I can. Caffeine definitely makes it worse, but like I'm not going to stop drinking coffee because of this, because coffee brings me a lot of joy, and like you know, if it just makes my hands a little shakier for an hour after I drink it, then like it is what it is, you know. It's not the end of the world for me. It doesn't hurt me. So I still drink coffee every morning. I didn't have any coffee this morning because I woke up and I was on call for work because it's coronavirus times. And so I do have a Celsius, which I know is not good, and it's probably going to make my hands shake more like an hour after I drink this. But you know what? It is what it is. It brings me joy, and I've decided that I'm not going to let this take joy out of my life. So I will continue to exercise and drink caffeine. And the one really cool thing is, and it's a joke that my family makes all the time, is that if I drink a glass of wine, y'all, it goes completely away. It's comical almost. Now on to my work life, which is where it's the most exciting and most interesting. So every day, obviously in a pediatric ICU is different. Some days are soups chill, and like I don't have a lot of stress, and like I'm like I got this handled, I'm good, I'm chilling. Those days my hand tremors kind of look like they do right here, which like I can function with, like I can do things like that. Unfortunately, I would be lying if I said that working in a pediatric ICU is never stressful. Y'all, kids get really sick really fast and it's really scary. I've been a peds ICU nurse for 3 years now, and I'm still terrified every time a kid tries to tank on me. Like, I think it will always be like that. I was told that if you stop getting scared, you don't care anymore. So I care a lot because I still get real scared. So obviously those are the moments where I struggle the most at work. So the first thing I do at work is I try to draw up medications, prime medications. I try to do anything I can inside of the med room. That way, like, you know, if my hands are shaking or whatever, like I don't feel like embarrassed in front of parents. And I honestly have worked a really long time to feel confident in myself in front of parents, because you're taking care of their pride and joy their whole life. And I have developed a certain amount of confidence in front of parents, and that was why actually this really rocked my feelings so much when all this started, was because I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna look like I'm terrified in front of parents now, which is not what I feel inside, but on the outside it will still look like I'm scared, you know, because like I'm not scared right now and my hands do that, but if you didn't know me, you would think I was scared. So I try to do anything I can inside of the med room. Additionally, all of my coworkers know, I think it's really important to communicate to your team. I work in a small PICU, so like there's not like a ton of us. And so in the event of a code or something like that, like I would need to have like big jobs and I would need people to do things. So I have communicated to my entire team, to my managers, everybody knows that I have these issues with my hands, and that if a crisis were to occur and I was struggling to do something, I don't have to like explain why I can't do it. I could just say, let me do big motor things, like let me do CPR, you drop medications. Some days at work, like I have really bad hand days, like, and it has nothing to do with stress. It just, my body just, I don't know, I woke up with a weird hand day. And that happens to be my personal life, but when it happens at work, it's even more important for me to communicate that to my coworkers. Like, I'm having a hard time today, I might need your help a little bit more. And nurses are great, y'all. And at least the nurses I work with have been so wonderful, and they're like, oh my god, no, I'm so happy to help. Because then I can help them with like other big things, you know, like big poop blowouts or whatever, you know, like, I mean, we all help each other. That's what nursing, it's my favorite part of nursing, is that it's a team-oriented job. It's my favorite part of it. So I will ask for help when I need it to draw labs or to put in IVs, like fine motor things like that, if I really am having like a hard day, which fortunately doesn't happen too often. Like that's like once every maybe blue moon, like, you know, it's not that often. So I have found ways at work, like I said, to just make it work. I will try to anchor my elbow in any chance I can. If I'm doing something like drawing labs or giving an injection or, you know, drawing up medications, if I'm having a rough time with my hands, or if I'm not, I think it just makes me feel more stable. I will anchor my elbow, because if I can anchor my elbow, I can stop my hand from shaking as much. So providing my arm some stability is really helpful. And outside of that, I really just like every day is a new day with this. Like my personal life is different every day. My work life is different every day, but it's something that I think I'm just going to have to keep dealing with for now, until I either A, have more answers, or B, I figure out that this is just like who I am, and this is gonna be something I'm gonna have to deal with for the rest of my life. So that being said, if you guys have any questions, like please feel free to like drop them in the comments. I'm like really open. I'm happy to talk about anything about this, like, you know, whatever. If you got questions, shoot them. If you got comments, if you have this happen to you too, please let me know, because I really just want to feel like I'm not alone in this. And I think that's why I made that TikTok, because I was having a day where I just felt like, am I the only 28-year-old on the planet who has these weird hand tremors that just came out of nowhere? But one of you out there saw me and commented on one of my YouTube videos asking me to make this video, and thank you, because you made me feel really good. Like, oh my God, I'm not the only one who just had this spontaneously happen in their life, because that person did too. So if you have had an experience like this, similar or not, or if you're going through something in general right now, please leave it in the comments. I'm here for you guys. I am a super open book, and I just, you know, y'all are my friends. So I think we could, you know, help each other out. So that being said, I hope, as always, you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a comment. I already talked a bajillion years about that. And make sure to subscribe to my channel down below so you never miss another one of my videos. Hopefully there's more work vlogs coming. Sorry that has been kind of on the back burner because, y'all, it's Rona times and I work in a really small PICU that's very based on surgical things. And unfortunately right now, there's no surgeries happening because they were all canceled. So actually yours truly was canceled today. Actually, I was on call for the first 4 hours, and then I was just notified that I was canceled. So just really, I literally didn't even go to work this week. I'm a full-time employed nurse, and I didn't even go to work this week because we don't have enough patients for all of us to have. So we're all just rotating through like our turns of like who's on call, who's canceled, and who gets to be in the unit. It's very frustrating. So anywho's, hopefully the work vlogs are coming back. I don't know when they're coming back, but they're coming back. And I hope you guys are staying safe out there, washing your hands, staying home. Thank you for helping us do what we do. We've been able to prepare my hospital in the Bay Area for some sort of surge in case that happens, which, you know, I think will be, you all staying home is allowing us the time to be able to create extra space for lots more sick people. So thank you for you guys staying home. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.